This is going to sound crazy, but I need to know if I'm being unreasonable or if my family has lost their minds. I'm a software engineer, bought a house in the Austin suburbs about 2 years ago after finally getting promoted to senior level. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine 3 bedrooms, quiet neighborhood, decent backyard. Most importantly, it's my sanctuary. I'm an introvert who spent way too many years dealing with roommates and noise, so having my own space where I can actually think and decompress has been life-changing. Growing up, our house was basically a revolving door for extended family members who needed a place to stay, temporarily, which always turned into months of chaos, strangers using our bathroom, sleeping on our couch, eating our food. My parents were too polite to set boundaries, and I watched my childhood home turn into a halfway house for anyone who needed help. I swore when I bought my place that it would be different. This is my space, my rules, my peace and quiet after years of never having any. My brother Kevin is married to Luna, who's, how do I put this diplomatically, a self-proclaimed spiritual guide and wellness coach. She charges people $150 an hour for energy alignment sessions and runs weekend retreats where she teaches people about chakras and crystal healing. I don't buy into any of it, but hey, if people want to pay for that, more power to her. The problem is Luna has been eyeing my house for months like a predator sizing up prey. Every time they come over, she makes these comments about the peaceful energy and how wasted the space is on just one person. She'll walk around touching my walls and talking about how the house has such potential for healing work. She's literally told me that my living room has perfect feng shui for group meditation, and my backyard calls out to be used for sunrise yoga ceremonies. I always just nodded politely because, family. Last week, she finally made her move. Luna shows up at my door on a Sunday afternoon with this whole presentation about how she needs a space for a healing circle with 4 of her paying clients. She wants to do a 48-hour silent retreat weekend at my house. I'm talking essential oils diffused throughout the entire house, rearranging all my furniture for proper energy flow, sunrise yoga sessions in my backyard, meditation circles in my living room, and her taking over my kitchen to prep vegetarian meals for everyone. She had it all mapped out. My guest rooms would house her clients. My living room would become the sacred gathering space. My kitchen would be her prep area for cleansing meals. She even wanted to burn sage throughout the house to purify the masculine energy that was apparently blocking the space's healing potential. When I asked what I'd get out of this arrangement, she got this beatific smile and said she'd cleanse my space of negative energy as payment. Apparently, my house is full of masculine blockages and materialistic attachments that are preventing me from reaching my full spiritual potential. She went on about how my attachment to privacy was actually fear-based thinking, and how opening my home to healing work would help me evolve spiritually. According to Luna, my desire to keep my house to myself was evidence of toxic individualism that was harming not just me, but the collective consciousness of our community. I told her no. Just a flat, polite no. You guys, the look on her face was like I'd personally insulted her ancestors. She started going on about how my attachment to material possessions was blocking my spiritual growth, and how selfish it was to hoard a space that could be used for healing when there's so much suffering in the world. Rick, you have this beautiful sanctuary, and you're keeping it locked away from people who desperately need healing. Do you understand how that energy affects your karma? I explained that I value my privacy, I don't want strangers in my personal space, and frankly, I bought this house specifically so I wouldn't have to deal with other people's chaos. She said I was being spiritually selfish, and that the universe was going to hold me accountable for blocking people's healing journeys. Your resistance to service is creating negative energy patterns in your life. I can feel the spiritual stagnation in this space. It's crying out to be used for higher purposes. Then she left, but not before telling me she'd be sending positive energy my way so I could open my heart to service. I thought that was the end of it. I was so naive. The thing is, I know exactly what this is about. Luna and Kevin live in a crowded rental with 2 roommates. Their place is chaos, people coming and going, noise at all hours, no privacy. Luna's been looking for a way to run her business without paying commercial rental fees, and my quiet, spacious house is the perfect solution. She just wrapped her freeloading in spiritual language to make it sound noble. Update 1. So after Luna left my house, I figured she'd drop it and find somewhere else for her retreat. Wrong. She went straight into manipulation mode, and honestly, it was like watching a masterclass in emotional blackmail. Derek, my neighbor who works in cybersecurity, later told me it was like watching a social engineering attack in real time. First, Kevin calls me the next day. Not to talk about work or sports or literally anything normal brothers discuss, but to tell me how devastated Luna is about my response. Apparently, her 4 clients had already requested time off work for this weekend retreat, and now she has to tell them it's canceled because her close family member refused to help her. She's just trying to help people heal, Rick, he says. It's one weekend. Can't you just think about it? I reminded Kevin that she never asked me to think about it. She showed up with a fully formed plan assuming I'd go along with it. But Kevin just did that thing he always does when Luna's involved. You know how passionate she gets about her work. Here's what I'm realizing about Kevin. He's been slowly programmed to see Luna's wants as spiritual needs that trump everyone else's boundaries. When she wants something, it becomes a mission from the universe that everyone should support. Then my mom calls. Mom's usually pretty reasonable, but she starts with, Kevin mentioned Luna needed to use your house for something important. Note how that got framed not as Luna wanting to run a business operation out of my living room, but as her needing help with something important. Mom hits me with the classic, it's just one weekend, Rick. Family should help each other out. I tried explaining that it's not about the weekend, it's about the principle. I bought a house specifically to have privacy and control over my space. But Mom just said, you have all that space, and it would mean so much to them. The conversation went in circles. Mom kept framing it as helping family, while I kept trying to explain that Luna wasn't asking for help, she was asking to use my property for her business. Mom couldn't see the difference or didn't want to. She's trying to do good work in the world, Rick. Why can't you support that? Because she can do good work in a space she pays for like any other business owner. You're being awfully rigid about this. Rigid, for wanting boundaries around my own house. Here's where it gets better. I'm scrolling Facebook later that night, and Luna has posted this long, vague status about how toxic masculinity is blocking healing spaces in our community. She doesn't mention me by name, but she talks about how some people are so attached to their material possessions that they can't see beyond their own selfishness. When we choose possessions over people, when we choose comfort over service, we block the flow of love in our community. I'm sending healing energy to those who are struggling with spiritual stagnation and fear-based thinking. May they find the courage to open their hearts to service. The comments were exactly what you'd expect. Her followers are all agreeing about how tragic it is that wounded masculine energy prevents healing work. A few people even asked if they could donate money to help her find a proper venue, which honestly made me wonder why she was so focused on using my house, specifically if money for a real rental was available. One comment really got to me. Some people are so trapped in their ego that they can't see how their choices affect the collective healing of our community. Prayers for breakthrough. This was Luna's friend Sarah, who I've met at family gatherings. She was talking about me like I was some kind of spiritual villain for not letting Luna use my house. But the kicker, and this is where I realized just how presumptuous she is, she showed up at my house yesterday, unannounced, with a measuring tape. I came home from work to find her in my backyard, taking photos and measuring spaces. She had a notebook and was sketching out some kind of layout diagram. When I asked what the hell she was doing, she said she was just visualizing the space for when I change my mind. When I change my mind, not if, when, Luna, what are you doing in my backyard? Oh, Rick, perfect timing. I was just getting a sense of the energy flow back here. This space is incredible for morning meditation circles. Look how the sun hits this corner, it's like the universe designed it for healing work. She pointed to my vegetable garden like it was a sacred grove. I can already visualize where we'd place the yoga mats for sunrise practice, and this tree, it has such ancient wisdom energy. Your clients would absolutely love connecting with it during walking meditations. My clients, like it was already decided. I told her she needed to leave immediately and not come back without an invitation. She got this hurt expression and said she was just trying to be prepared so she could give her clients the best possible experience. Luna, I said no. That means no. Your energy is really hostile right now, Rick. I think you need to examine why you're reacting with such aggression to someone trying to create a healing space. That's when Derek came out of his house he'd been watching through his window. Derek's got this no-nonsense way of dealing with bullshit that I really admire. Ma'am, you're on private property without permission, he said. That's called trespassing. Luna turned her spiritual manipulation on him. I'm family. I'm just trying to help my brother-in-law understand how he could use this space for higher purposes. Derek looked at me. You want her here? No. Then she needs to leave. Luna packed up her measuring tape and notebook, but not before giving me this look of profound disappointment. I'll pray that your heart opens to service, Rick. The universe has plans for this space, whether you can see them or not. I walked her to her car and watched her drive away. Then I called Kevin and told him his wife is not welcome on my property without permission. Kevin got defensive, said she was just excited and didn't mean any harm. Kevin, she was in my backyard with a measuring tape planning out how to use my space for her business, after I already said no. She's just passionate about her work. She's ignoring my boundaries and trespassing on my property. Come on, Rick, don't be dramatic, she's family. That conversation made something click for me. Kevin has been so conditioned to see Luna's behavior as normal that he can't recognize boundary violations anymore. In his world, Luna's spiritual mission justifies whatever she needs to do to accomplish it. After I hung up with Kevin, Derek came over with a beer. Dude, she's basically trying to social engineer access to your house. This is like malware disguised as helpful software. That's exactly what this feels like. Luna found something she wants my house, and instead of accepting my no, she's trying to reprogram me and everyone around me to get what she wants. She's not going to stop, Derek said. I've seen this kind of manipulation before. My ex-wife used to pull similar shit, frame her wants as needs, make me the bad guy for having boundaries, get other people to pressure me. Derek offered to keep an eye on my place when I'm at work, which honestly made me realize how much this situation has escalated. I shouldn't need surveillance to keep my sister-in-law from trespassing, but here we are. That night, I started thinking about all the times Luna has made comments about my house, my lifestyle, my choices. She's never once just accepted that I might want different things than she does. Everything I choose that doesn't align with her vision gets labeled as fear, selfishness, or spiritual immaturity. The more I think about it, the more I realize this isn't really about the retreat. It's about Luna establishing that her needs come first, and everyone else's boundaries are just obstacles to overcome. Update 2. I thought Luna's manipulation was bad before. I had no idea how much worse it could get. After my conversation with Kevin about Luna not being welcome on my property, I figured things would die down. Instead, Luna decided to escalate to nuclear levels. Kevin texted me Sunday morning asking if I could come over for dinner that evening, said they wanted to have a family discussion about working through this conflict. I should have known it was a trap. I show up to Kevin's place and it's not just them. Mom's there. Luna's sister is there via FaceTime. Even Kevin's father-in-law is sitting in the living room looking uncomfortable. This was a full-scale intervention. Luna had prepared what can only be described as a presentation about why I was morally obligated to let her use my house. I'm not exaggerating, she had notes. She started by talking about how much her work means to people, how she's helped clients through trauma and addiction and depression. Fair enough if that's true, good for her. But then she pivoted to how I was hoarding space that could heal people and being spiritually selfish with my privilege. The word privilege hit me wrong. I worked 60-hour weeks for years to afford this house. I lived with 3 roommates in a shitty apartment until I was 32 because that's what it took to save up for a down payment. But apparently, having my own space now makes me privileged and selfish. Then Luna really went for the throat. She started crying actual tears talking about how my refusal was causing her energetic trauma and how she couldn't understand why someone she loved like family would block her path to helping people heal. Mom's looking at me like I'm the worst person in the world. Kevin's nodding along with everything Luna says. Her sister on FaceTime is talking about how disappointed she is that Kevin's family doesn't support Luna's calling. Here's the thing though, while Luna was giving her performance, I was doing some quick math in my head. She mentioned this retreat was for 4 clients. I remember Kevin mentioning once that Luna charges $400 per person for weekend retreats. So she was planning to make $1,600 using my house, my utilities, my kitchen, my furniture, and she was presenting this like she was doing charity work. I asked point blank, Luna, how much are you charging these clients for the retreat? The room went quiet. Luna got defensive immediately. That's not what this is about, Rick. This is about creating sacred space for healing. But you are charging them, right? This is your business. Kevin jumped in, trying to redirect. She provides a valuable service, Rick. She deserves to be compensated for her time and expertise. Absolutely she does, so she can rent a proper commercial space like any other business owner and charge her clients accordingly. She doesn't need to use my house for free to increase her profit margins. That's when Luna really lost it. Started talking about how I was reducing sacred healing work to mere capitalism, and how my materialistic mindset was exactly the kind of toxic energy that was poisoning our society. Mom finally spoke up. Rick, honey, can't you just help your family out? It's one weekend. Mom, she's not asking for help. She's asking to run a business operation out of my house without paying for it, then trying to make me feel guilty for saying no by calling it spiritual work. Luna stood up, dramatically wiped her tears, and said, I can see that your heart is completely closed to service. I'll pray that the universe helps you understand what real love looks like. Then she walked out. The rest of the family sat there in awkward silence for a few minutes before I left too. Kevin walked me to my car and said he understood my position but wished I could find a way to compromise. What compromise, Kevin? She wants full access to my house for her business. I don't want strangers in my personal space. There's no middle ground here. Maybe you could stay somewhere else for the weekend. I stared at my brother. You want me to leave my own house so your wife can make money using my property? He didn't have an answer for that. I drove home thinking about how Luna had framed the whole thing. I wasn't just saying no to a request, I was blocking healing, preventing growth, causing trauma. She'd turned my perfectly reasonable boundary into a spiritual failing on my part. But here's what really got to me. She never once acknowledged that this was my house, my choice, my right to say no. In Luna's world, her wants automatically trumped my boundaries because she'd labeled those wants as spiritual. Derek came over later that night with beer and commiseration. So let me get this straight, he said. She wants to use your house to make $1,600, and when you said no, she organized a family tribunal to guilt you into compliance. When he put it like that, it sounded even crazier. She's not going to stop, Derek said. People like this don't take no for an answer. They just escalate until they get what they want or face real consequences. I'm starting to think he's right. Final update. You guys, I cannot believe what Luna tried to pull. This whole situation escalated so far beyond what I thought was possible. After the family intervention disaster, I figured Luna would back off and find another venue for her retreat. I installed security cameras like Derek suggested and changed my locks just to be safe. Good thing I did. Yesterday, I was at work when my phone started buzzing with notifications from my security system. Someone was trying to get into my house. I pulled up the camera feed on my phone and there's Luna, trying to use what I assume was the old spare key that Kevin had from when I first bought the house. When that didn't work, she walked around my entire house trying windows and the back door. She even tried the sliding door to my patio. I immediately called Derek, who works from home, and asked him to check what was happening. By the time he got there, Luna was gone, but he saw her car pulling away from my street. Here's the thing, I had two choices. I could call Luna and Kevin and try to handle this as a family matter, or I could treat it like what it was. Someone attempting to break into my house without permission. After everything Luna had put me through, all the manipulation and guilt trips and boundary violations, I chose option 2. I called the police and filed a report. When the officers came out, they reviewed my security footage and took a statement. One of them said Luna's behavior clearly showed intent to enter without authorization, especially since she tried multiple entry points. They went to her house to get her side of the story. Luna's explanation was that there had been a misunderstanding, and she thought I had changed my mind about the retreat. She claimed she was just checking to make sure the space would be ready for her clients this weekend. The officers pointed out that even if that were true, attempting to enter someone's house without explicit permission is still breaking and entering. They didn't arrest her, but they documented everything and told her to stay away from my property. Kevin called me that night absolutely furious. Not at Luna for trying to break into my house, but at me for involving the police. She's your sister-in-law, Rick. She's family. You could have just called us. Kevin, she tried to break into my house. What was I supposed to do? She made a mistake. She thought you'd changed your mind. She thought I'd changed my mind without me telling her I'd changed my mind. That makes no sense, and you know it. Kevin went quiet for a long moment. Then, Mom's really upset about this. She can't believe you'd call the police on Luna. Where was Mom when Luna was trying to break into my house? Where were you? That's not the point. That's exactly the point. You're all upset with me for calling the police, but none of you are upset with Luna for actually committing a crime. We ended the call there, and honestly, I felt more relieved than angry. For the first time in weeks, I had documentation that Luna's behavior was objectively wrong, not just a matter of spiritual perspective. But the real karma came yesterday morning. Derek texted me a screenshot from a local Facebook group where someone had posted about Luna's unethical business practices. Turns out, one of Luna's paying clients for the retreat had found out that Luna was planning to use someone else's private home without permission. This client had paid $400 for what she thought would be a professionally managed retreat at a proper venue. The client was pissed. She shared the story in a local wellness community group, and other people started coming forward with their own Luna stories. Apparently, she'd tried to get free venues from other people before, always framing it as spiritual service while charging her clients full price. Luna's business reviews tanked overnight. Several clients canceled their upcoming sessions. She had to scramble to rent an actual commercial space for this weekend's retreat, which ate up most of her profit margin. But here's the part that actually gives me hope for my family. Kevin called me last night with a very different tone than our previous conversation. Rick, I owe you an apology. I talked to Mom about everything that happened, and she said some things that made me realize how out of line Luna's been. Apparently, Mom had been doing some thinking after the police report. She called Kevin and said she was embarrassed that she'd pressured me to let Luna use my house. Mom grew up in a generation where you don't involve police in family matters, but she also understands property rights and boundaries. Mom said she kept thinking about how she'd feel if someone tried to break into her house, family or not, Kevin told me. She wants to apologize to you. What about Luna? Long pause. Luna thinks everyone's overreacting. She's saying the negative reviews are from people who don't understand her spiritual mission, and that you calling the police was an attack on her work. Kevin, I know. I'm starting to see it, Rick. I've been so focused on supporting Luna's dreams that I stopped noticing when her behavior crossed lines. The breaking and entering thing really shook me up. Kevin told me he suggested they start couples therapy, and he's planning to stay at Mom's house for a while to get some perspective on their relationship. Luna's not happy about it, but Kevin said he needs space to figure out if this is the kind of person he wants to be married to. This morning, Luna texted me asking if she could come over to make amends and cleanse my house of all the negative energy that's built up from our conflict. I replied, my house energy is perfect. It successfully repelled someone trying to exploit it, working as designed. Kevin laughed when I showed him the text exchange. Maybe there's hope for him yet. The best part of all this isn't the karma that hit Luna's business or even the vindication of having my boundaries respected. It's realizing that standing firm actually strengthened my relationships with the family members who matter. Mom and Kevin both see Luna more clearly now, and Derek has become a genuine friend through all this. Sometimes when you stop trying to keep everyone happy and just protect what's yours, the right people end up respecting you more, not less.